we talk about coincidences a lot on this podcast, and I wanted to know for you guys, what's the difference between a coincidence and a conspiracy theory?
Okay, so a coincidence is just something that randomly happens, but then when you try to add everything up, it was all random, nobody's connected, and it's a coincidence. Like, oh my God, I ran into Amy at the mall. Oh my God, you're in the same shop. That's a coincidence. A conspiracy, I don't believe, the theory is a theory, but an actual conspiracy is a bunch of people that have the same agenda getting together to do something nefarious. A theory is just a made up, you're just talking about it. Okay. But there are conspiracies.
Like, you ever see that Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln, and Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy.
Yep.
Like, that is a coincidence. The last name I
don't know. There's so many.
When you start going deeper down that rabbit hole, there's a lot more that isn't coincidence and seems more like conspiracy. But I'm trying to give an example of
simulation stuff.
What does that mean?
I mean, just like there's like 20 things that are inexplicable coincidences with them, but I think it's like a simulation theory thing where what?
I don't know where I heard this quote, but since I don't remember now, it's mine. That's how it works. You know, you forget where it is, and you are 3 coincidences away from a conspiracy. All right,
3 coincidences away from a conspiracy.
Yeah, it takes 3. Because a coincidence, the dictionary definition is 2 or more unrelated things that happen at the same time in a surprising or unlikely way. And a conspiracy is 2 or more people secretly planned together to do something harmful, illegal, or dishonest.
Okay.
The thing is, when the CIA, who designed the term and added theory to conspiracy, all right, conspiracy
during
theory,
JFK. Yep.
That's what they added. But a conspiracy is very easy. Like,
you conspire.
I conspire 1,000 times.
All day I'm doing it.
But nobody's doing theories about it.
Yeah, what a theory.
It's very interesting because the reason I asked that question is I wanted your guys' opinions on this story. So I was sitting at home yesterday trying to find something to talk about. I think it was Humberto that said it this morning. The news cycle seems slow, which is weird because it's so weird. Trump's like going in and going, Panama Canal, that's ours. Greenland, that's ours. Gulf of America, we're going with it. And so, sorry, I didn't mean to hit your microphone.
Oh my God.
But so, it's not slow because there's a lot going on, but it feels like they're at the same, it's so weird. At the same time, it feels like there's nothing going on. Yeah. Am I crazy for feeling that way?
But because think about it, Rob, look where we work. We are constantly doing the stories. And if it's just a regular day with those type of things, which are still stories, if it's not something monumental like assassination attempt, we're like, this was a boring ass week. Nothing happened. Nothing blew up. Nothing. There's no fires. It's just it's sad that with all that going on, this is a boring ass news week.
Especially with the tariff news cycle.
Yeah, the tariff is all day.
We were doing clips with Rob, and I was like, we're like the tariff channel. Like, it's just what a fucking
VT
boring
tariffs.
Yeah, oh no, it's horrible.
Just do them and don't talk about them.
Yeah.
Because it's the most boring thing. I'm going to put a 3% import in your copper. Like, what?
Yeah, who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah.
But I think what makes it fun.
It's great.
What makes it interesting is the way that Trump handles it. Because he's like, it's very interesting watching what he has done behind closed doors as a businessman for decades be played out in front of the whole world. He puts retaliatory tariffs on China. China goes, we're going to increase 34%. Trump's like, 34%? 125, motherfuckers. Yeah. What are you going to do now?
What?
It's like, it's really interesting. But at the same time, it's like, well, it's not somebody getting shot, so we're just going to move on.
Now, Rob,
And
I give
think
you something.
he's a little bit tired too. I think that's why the news cycle slowed down. Yeah, Trump's
just getting started.
Well, he's slowed down though, so he's a little bit tired right now.
Slowing down on what?
Everything.
Take that hat off.
I mean, I don't.
You don't deserve that.
You don't deserve that.
I wore it so that I could show my support, but he is tired right now.
Okay, but in fairness to him, right? He's been going nonstop.
Yeah.
I get he comes and golfs here and there.
Yeah, he'll recoup.
He's been going nonstop since 2015. So we're talking about 10 years of constant going at 90 miles an hour.
Right, and he's a grandfather.
We've seen it with our own eyes.
What would you do? Just totally off subject because I know Amy wants to say something too. Could you imagine if I don't know what Alex Jones is taking or whatever. Alex Jones is
Steel or something, right? He always talks about that.
And he's lost all the way. Imagine if Trump just without telling anybody goes on Ozempic, and then we're just like, holy crap!
Did you guys see the video of him trending on X the other day that people were sharing? Like, oh, my president looks so healthy. Like, he does look like he's
not
dropped
he lost
a
weight.
decent amount
No, he
of
lost
weight.
a lot of weight.
Well, I was gonna say, like, for what period of time are you claiming that he's been slowing down? Because he may not be the number one for top executive orders in this time span, but he's very much up there. I would say at least number 2.
No, he's
right?
still number 1, yeah, for sure. And
Number 1.
He's slowing down in comparison to his first 50 days. Like, so his first 50 days, he was like shot out of a rocket, going crazy every day. Last 2 or 3 weeks, he slowed down a bit.
He's
So I think he's a little bit tired.
Not now.
But it's like a cycle. He'll bounce back, but he's just a little bit tired
Now,
right
Brandon,
now.
to be fair to Rob, imagine if we're going through the tariff news cycle with Jeb Bush on the helm. I would literally quit
kill me.
just
That's-
life.
Yeah, I would start talking about sports.
What else?
Yeah.
Rob?
Well, so it's been a weird news cycle to say the least. So I was looking for something to talk about, and I think usually where I get my topics, I like reading. Sorry, I'm one of those stooges that still read the mainstream media, but I also like digging in and going to X. And so I'm on X yesterday. I'll be quite frank, I was on the toilet, and that's where I do most of my 9/11 reading. And I came across this tweet from Red Pill USA, and I wanted to know if you guys had ever heard this before. I know 9/11 happened 24 years ago. Bear with me because this is interesting. According to @RedPillUSA, did you know that on September 11th of 2001, as the horrific attacks unfolded, former President George H.W. Bush was attending a Carlyle Group event in Washington, D.C., alongside Shafiq bin Laden, the brother of Osama bin Laden. So
This is a fact.
that's first of all, it's on Twitter. So
Good
you're like,
buddies.
well,
No, but Twitter, so you have to.
do you know what the Carlyle Group is? Have you ever
Yeah,
heard?
it's an investment group. He was on the podcast before, right?
It's like
No, we had Rubenstein. I don't think we had Carlyle.
He was part of the Carlyle Group, though.
Yes, but not okay. So
Same one?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
I
okay.
would assume. I don't know how many
no,
Carlyle
no.
groups
If
there
it's
are.
Carlyle Group, it's Carlyle Group.
And what is the Carlyle
It's like a
Group?
Bilderberg.
It's an investment firm, right?
Is it like Bilderberg? They're like
Oh, I
Bilderberg.
thought it was like an investment group.
Well, keep it. I'm gonna look at it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I saw this tweet and I was like, well, that's very interesting. The guy who used to be the president of the United States, who is the father of the sitting president of the United States, was in attendance at a conference, the stepbrother or brother of Osama bin Laden, the same terrorist that was taking out the World Trade Centers and the Pentagon, if you believe the official narrative, on the day that the attacks happened. So I started digging in and I went, let me go to ChatGPT. ChatGPT do you guys think ChatGPT is fair down the middle? Do you think they're more left, more right?
More left leaning, but not as bad since Donald Trump came in. Like, I can now ask certain prompts that it will actually answer still with a leftist bias. However, before Trump was actually elected, it would literally not even perform the requests previously.
Yeah.
When I'm asking it to summarize certain topics and things like this from PBD podcasts, it's like, I'm sorry, that goes against our terms of service.
Oh yeah, I argue with it so much because it's still mine still doesn't acknowledge that Trump is the president.
Oh, mine too. It still
It'll say
says former
Biden.
president.
Former president.
Wow.
And it says Biden. I yell at it, but just real quick,
yell
Rob,
at it.
I really do.
all caps.
I hate her. I hate her.
So
Him.
you yell at ChatGPT?
I yell at
Me
ChatGPT.
too. My wife was like, you're yelling at a computer. And I go, one day the computer's going to be yelling at me, so I'm
Yeah,
getting
so
my shots in now.
Yeah.
Fair.
So,
That's
so the
fair.
Carlyle Group is a massive global investment firm based in Washington, D.C. They manage hundreds of billions of dollars in investment, everything from defense, aerospace, healthcare, real estate, and tech.
Okay, so I asked ChatGPT, I go, hey, where was George H.W. Bush on 9/11? Here's what ChatGPT said. It said George W. Bush, former president of the United States, was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So they actually have the town wrong because it was Washington, D.C. He was scheduled to speak at the Carlyle Conference Group at the Ritz-Carlton. The Carlyle Group is a global investment firm with ties to defense contractors, and the fact that both Bush Sr. and members of the bin Laden family were linked to the firm has sparked various conspiracy theories over the years. So I asked ChatGPT, what other notable people were in attendance that day? And it lists some. If we could go to the next slide, though, but then I want to know, okay, how many members are at the Carlyle Group? Maybe it's like the Vault Conference, which is coming in September of this year. You can get tickets at vaultconference.com. I should have had an affiliate link.
Yeah.
Damn it. But that has tens of thousands of people that attend it, right? So I'm like, well, maybe the Carlyle Group is that. However, according to ChatGPT, and I asked it, Carlyle Group, at first it just said the information regarding the total number of attendees is not publicly available. Then I asked, okay, was it less than 100 people? And it said, while there is no official headcount publicly released, most sources describe the Carlyle Group's annual conference as a small private gathering. They say fewer than 100 people were likely in attendance. It's possible that a few dozen were in attendance. So I went, well, that's really weird. So it's only dozens of people in attendance. What are the odds that the former president of the United States, the father of the sitting president of the United States, was with the brother of the terrorist who was taking out the World Trade Center on the day the attack happened? So I asked that to ChatGPT. Thank you, Jake. And it said, all right, there's a few factors you need to consider when you're figuring out this analysis. The population and roll pool, right? There were only 5 living former U.S. presidents at the time. Only one of them was the father of a sitting president. Number 2, the bin Laden family size. The bin Laden family size is somewhere between 50 and 54 people at that time. There are dozens of siblings and half-siblings. Then you have to go to event specificity. I can't say that word.
Specificity.
Thank you. Specificity.
Specificity.
I practiced this.
Specificity.
I practiced
Not
like
gonna get
4 times, and I still couldn't get it. It says the Carlyle Group conference was a small invitation-only investor meeting with roughly fewer than 100 people, and then the time of the meeting. So all of these factors weigh in. And what it says, if you put it all together, could we go to the next slide, Jake, if you don't mind? And take a look at the bottom. It says, putting it all together, to estimate the odds informally, the odds of a U.S. president's father being alive and active in global business is extremely rare. The odds of him being in the same room as a family member of the most wanted terrorist in the world, astronomically small. The odds of that meeting happening on the exact day of the attacks, microscopically small. So that wasn't enough for me. I was like, well, I need more information. So then I said, can you please provide me the actual numbers? Like, what are the actual odds? Jay, could you go to the next slide? And it ran the math for me. And what it turns out, if we could go to the final slide, all the way down at the bottom, it says it there. It is a 1 in 755 billion chance that these two people would be at the same exact place on the same exact day that the 9/11 attacks were happening. In fact, I asked ChatGPT, I was like, hey, ChatGPT, could you provide me some like other odd scenarios that are more likely to happen?
Oh, God.
It said that you were able to win the Powerball 32,000 times.
Oh, my.
It would take 1 in 755 billion odds of those two being in the same room. You would be able to win the lottery 32,000 times. You'd be able to get struck by lightning 1,500 times before that occurrence would ever happen again. So just to you guys, at what point do we stop looking at these weird things that are coincidences and we go, okay, it's no longer a coincidence. There's got to be some conspiracy. Now, I sat my wife down and did this whole presentation for her last night. And then at the end, she said, okay, and what have you learned? And where do we go from here? And I said, I've learned nothing, and we're going nowhere. This is a gigantic waste of time. But it is super interesting to me that this event happened. There's so many weird things when it comes to George H.W. Bush. Oh. Where was he on November 22nd, 1963? He doesn't even remember. He says he may have been in Houston, or he may have been in another town that was 100 miles away from Dallas. The name of that town escapes me, but he can't say for certain. Also, were you the one that brought up the Hinckley connection between the Bushes and David?
10th cousin.
Yeah.
Can you just quickly tell the audience about that?
Yeah, no, John Hinckley's brother was having dinner with a member of the Bush family like the night before Reagan got shot by John Hinckley.
Does that how? And again, it's probably another 3 billion to 1.
Yeah, of course.
And if you could go to the very next slide, Jake, if you don't mind, we'll skip that one. Is there the chart, the poster one, or did we not include that? There it is. I had it, right now. There it is. ChatGPT made me a nice little poster, and it shows you exactly how the odds are for all of this to work out. And so when you look at that number, 1 in 755,850 million chance of this this meeting happening on the day the 9/11 attacks happened, you just go, that's really weird.
Oh, and you know what else is really weird? But it's a fact. Right after 9/11, by the way, I was in the United States Air Force when this happened. A lot of airplanes. Every flight was grounded, but the Bush administration gave special clearance for a private jet to fly guess who out of the country? All the bin Laden family members and Saudis, members of the Saudis. Oh, yeah, ready for this? They were picked up from cities like LA, DC, and Boston, questioned briefly, probably like, hi, you're leaving. Are you Osama bin Laden's cousin, brother, whatever?
Thank you for your service.
That's really weird. LA, what you said? LA, what cities?
LA, D.C. and Boston, and then they were flown out of the country.
Which, okay, Boston is where one of the planes that smashed into the World Trade Centers departed from Logan International Airport in Boston. That's also an odd coincidence. It's also an odd coincidence that 15 of the 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and they blamed Iraq, but then at the end, what?
I was too young at the time, and I was in this country. I have a quick question.
Yeah.
If they were all Saudis,
Yeah.
why did you guys go fight in Iraq?
Oh,
and
because-
Well, they had
Afghanistan?
weapons of mass destruction that we never found.
They never had. Think about that. I remember that moment too, where they're like, "We're gonna send inspectors and we're gonna go look for weapons." And we were like, "Yeah, go find those nukes." And then they were like, "We bombed the shit. I killed everybody." And then they were like, "They don't have any nukes." So they literally changed the name of the war to the Iraq War, to Enduring Freedom, as if they wanted us there. And I'm telling you from experience, from family members that are married to Iraqis, and they would much rather have had Saddam Hussein stay in because he kept everybody at bay. There was no ISIS. Everybody was feared of, like, this guy scared the shit out of everybody. What like we do all the time with regime change and how we roll. Bro, that was all to go to war, because 9/11 was a springboard for everything, bro. Everything. The war on terror. What a brilliant, evil plan, because there's no face. Terror. Remember, he's like terror, the terrorist, the Bush Jr. I believe, because of what he did, him, Cheney, they belong in freaking prison, if not something worse, for the rest of their freaking lives, because of freaking the war. Dude, no accountability. You killed 1 million people.
Oh, but
Well, so the big question is, though, like, do you guys still think that there's any chance that was just an accidental terrorist attack?
Absolutely not.
No,
Are
it's,
you
it's like the most
freaking crazy?
retarded thing that
Come
people
on,
still
man.
say that.
If you're out there and you believe that was all a coincidence,
Retarded.
you're stupid.
Yeah.
Period.
It could be.
And
you
that's
know?
No, it
why
can't.
that's why they push so heavy, the left, on this coincidental thing. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, and they make it into like this derogatory term. They're literally insulting your intelligence every single time they say it's a coincidence. When you look at odds like that, 1 in a billion, several billion chances,
700 billion.
expecting
4
you to it's literally an insult to your intelligence.
Yeah.
But the reason they do it is because they think that if everybody were to understand this, it would just be a complete collapse of society as we know it. We wouldn't be able to accept or live with the fact that the institutions that we're meant to trust in the most are this corrupt and this evil. And I remember when I first started catching on to a lot of these things, I don't know about you guys, can you guys remember the first crazy quote-unquote conspiratorial thing you learned? Like, I was messed up for weeks. I really felt like I kind of lost faith in in the world.
And it was Loose Change for me. Did you ever see
Yeah.
that
Oh,
film?
yeah.
Loose Change
That's a
for me
classic.
was the first, and back then that was like somebody handed me. They must have burned it onto a CD. Do you remember
Wow.
when people would take CDs and burn CDs,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
you'd hand them out to your buddies? Listen to my mixtape. Somebody had burned that to a DVD, and I remember watching that at my parents' house and going, "Wait a minute!" And then ever since then, I've never looked at 9/11, the JFK assassination, the RFK assassination, the MLK assassination, World War II, Vietnam, all of it comes into question for me because of that movie.
I've always loved it, though. Like, it's like a deep sense of, it's almost like soothing for me to look at stuff like that, because it's like the thing they tell you is so retarded and obviously a lie that it's like when you try to explain something and it doesn't make sense, then you find something that like does make sense. It's like, oh wow, like okay, now I could understand this, because like they're actually filling in all the gaps here, whereas they're trying to give you this like clean, like broad stroke answer that like leaves a lot of things unanswered, like with the mainstream stuff. Like the 9/11 Commission's like this big and it doesn't say anything meaningful in it.
Nothing.
Like, and that's by
No,
design.
and then they take out the only pages that
Right,
do,
right.
that have Saudi Arabia involvement,
Right.
or at least the funding of some of it, and they just remove that portion. Then they give you this stack. It's all about illusion.
Yeah.
Hey, look at how much information we're giving you.
Yeah.
But you're leaving out the little bit of information that we need.
Bro,
Right.
just for the people that still don't, like, if you look at the footage of the so-called airplane that hit the Pentagon, and you could clearly see that it was not an airplane, everything goes out the window. When reporters from BBC are reporting that Building 7 has fallen, they're already reporting it, but it's still burning, standing behind the reporter. And then Larry Silverstein, the guy, you want to talk about coincidence? The guy ate breakfast every single day in the World Trade Tower. I don't know if it was 1 or 2 upstairs. That day, they go, why didn't you go? He was just like, nah, I just didn't feel like going.
And the insurance policy he took out. He took out insurance against
Billions and billions of dollars. Oh, wait, was it $3 billion insurance policy? And guess what the main caveat was in the insurance
Getting
policy?
hit by a plane?
Planes, terrorism hitting it. Okay, we're crazy. Anyway, guys, good story, Rob.
Thank you.
It's never a boring story with 9/11. I just get
Yeah.
pissed off. And by the way, not to mention the photo that Epstein have of a photo of George Bush Jr. sitting in the White House, legs folded, with two Jenga blocks fallen,
Oh, yeah.
and he has a paper airplane in his hand.
Symbolism.
And let's not forget the other weird photo that he also had in his house of Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton pointing at you when you walk in the house in a blue dress.
Yeah, Monica Lewinsky's dress wearing high heels. What the
weird.
Okay. Yeah, we're the weirdos.
Yeah, I'm
We're
weird.
talking about that.
So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.